Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about a little secret weapon that I use to make sure that every single bow tunes down the center. And that secret weapon is very simple and often overlooked, and that's nock tuning. So let's talk about nock tuning and why it's important. So first of all, to understand nock tuning a little bit better, we have to understand how arrows work. Now, there's a lot of different ways that manufacturers build arrows and how these arrows are put together. But there's a few factors that are super important when it comes to how consistently shaft after shaft after shaft that arrow comes out of your bow. And one important factor is the sidewall consistency. So what that means is how centered is your inner diameter compared to your outer diameter? Does it favor one position or another? Like is one part of your sidewall slightly thinner than another part, which would mean 180 degrees from there, that side would be thicker. So that is one factor. The other factor is spine consistency. So obviously if there's an overlap and you have your stiff side and your weak side, how straight is that? Does that rotate around your arrow and wrap around, or does it go perfectly straight down the shaft? Now, when it comes to shooting bows through paper, a lot of times when you go to a shop, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to set your rest up, they're going to nock an arrow, they're going to shoot it through paper, and let's say you have a nock left tear or a nock right tear. Well, then they're just going to start either shimming or moving your rest, and then what happens is either you have excessive amount of cam lean and are prone to derailing that bow, and it's unforgiving and not fun to shoot, and it also is no longer smooth, or what happens is they start moving your rest, and then that's when you get these rests that instead of sitting straight, your arrow is kicked off to one side like this, or like this, depending on what the tear is. And a lot of times that can be solved simply by nock tuning. And so here's my paper tuning setup, and I just tuned these two bows here. And I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I'll zoom in on it. This tear right here is about, I actually have a tape measure, I'll measure it for you. This is a 1 1/8 inch nock left tear. Okay, so that came off of this bow. So when this bow arrived, this rest was crammed all the way to the right. Okay, and so what I do on every single bow is I set everything back to center and line up my cam lean accordingly. And then I shoot that arrow through paper in 4 different positions. What do I mean by that? So as you can see, there's a mark on this shaft. I marked this shaft right here. What that means is I'll shoot it with that mark in the up position, the down position, the left position, and the right position. And then I will tune the bow to the best of those 4 tears. So what I did is I ended up setting this bow back to center, making sure that the arrow was running down the middle of the bow. We shot it through paper, and this was the first tear. Super nock left. Now, if I would have moved that rest all the way back to the right, where that arrow was actually pointed in towards the riser, I probably could have cleaned this tear up. However, all I did was flip this arrow 180 degrees and shoot it in the down position, and I got this tear, which is only a 1/2 inch nock left tear. So then I rotated it one more time, and I ended up getting this tear right here, which is about 1/8 inch nock high. So from there, I figured that's the best tear we're gonna get. I'm gonna still shoot it in the 4th position, shot it in the 4th position, and we got a heavy nock right tear. So I went back to the 3rd position, erased my mark, marked a new mark on the top to denote that that is where that arrow needs to be, and then tuned out this very, very slight knock high. So all by just rotating my arrow and shooting it through paper, I cleaned up a 1-inch knock left tear without moving cams, without moving my rest. All I did was rotate the knock. So a lot of times when I have guys that message me and they say, hey, I cannot get my bow to tune down the center like you get every bow to tune down the center. How do I fix this? Sometimes it might be form, but most of the time you just got to knock tune your arrows. So try that out the next time you run into a tuning issue on a bow. Hey guys, a little side note that I thought about while editing this video. If you guys want to use this method and either you've sent your bow to me and I've bare shaft tuned it, or your local shop has done the best that they could, but you still want to use this method, you do not have to do this with a bare shaft. So what I always tell my customers is when they get their bow back from me and I have bare shaft tuned it, obviously you don't want to strip all yours down and shoot them all through paper. What you can do is you can actually just take your fletched shafts and either you can cut a hole in a box and shoot them through paper, or you can screw a fixed blade broadhead on and you can shoot them at distance, like 40 yards. And if that broadhead impacts off from center, don't worry, it's not your tune. Just rotate that knock to the next up fletch and then shoot again. And in one of those positions, whether you're shooting a 3 fletch or a 4 fletch, those broadheads and those field tips will group at distance with a simple knock tune. So that is another way that you guys can utilize this method in your own practice. So that's all I have. Like I said, I was just kind of thinking of that while editing this video, that not everybody is going to be shooting all their bare shafts through paper and knock tuning them all to shoot the same. This method that I just explained with fletched shafts will do you just fine in the field as well, as long as your bow is already perfectly bare shaft tuned to one bare shaft. This will work just fine. See you guys on the next video. Peace.